How extensively is this scheme going to operate, Mr. Willey?
Well, it's covering virtually all leasehold property where the original lease was for 21 years or more, and all leaseholders who've occupied their house for 5 years or more will be able to take advantage of the provisions we're making. We believe it'll cover about 1 million leasehold houses in the country, that is in England and Wales.
What sort of advantages are these leaseholders going to have now?
Well, they get two advantages. One is that they're able to buy their houses in the sense that they can buy the land on which they built their houses on fair terms, and the other is they'll have the right to have their leases extended by 50 years.
Has the landlord, what about him? Is he going to have any rights?
Yes. He's got the right to challenge the exercise of the rights by the leaseholder if he would suffer, or his family would suffer, greater hardship by, he may have bought a freehold, hoping to get eventually the house for his own occupation. If he could prove that his hardship would be greater than that of the leaseholder, he'd be able to obtain possession of the house at the end of the lease. But he would have to pay the leaseholder the full value of the bricks and mortar that the leaseholder had provided.
Now, you've left flats entirely out of this scheme. Might this not disenfranchise thousands of people in London, for instance?
Well, this is a fairly new problem, the question of flats. It's a very difficult and complicated problem. The government have just recently had a report on flats, the Wilberforce Committee report, and we feel it's better that the whole question of flats be considered separately.
How about new leasehold property that's being built at the moment? Might this scheme not tend, in fact, to put up house prices?
Well, it shouldn't put up house prices. If the builders are providing houses on leasehold terms, they should surely be providing houses on the terms that the land is being paid for at a ground rent. If this is true, they've nothing to fear, because all we're doing is to say that the person who lives in the house, if he wants greater security, should be able to buy that land at a fair price.
Is it not a fair argument that people going into new leasehold arrangements nowadays are going into it with their eyes wide open, and that you're going to change the terms halfway through?
I'm not changing the terms. I think we ought to recognize this. I recognize the person who built the house as the owner of the house. It's just a quirk of law that the house attaches to the land. I think this is very unfair, inequitable. What I say to people who are going to devise leasehold in the future, do it on fair terms, but certainly always allow the person who's built the house to obtain the freehold on which the house is built.